Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our webinar. So now we are doing it monthly. It's going to be a monthly webinar. So I'm Dr. Fasanya. I'm a physician, a real asset investor. I'm the CEO of Dr. Daisy Capital. My journey began in medicine, like most of you here. Since 2015, I've been actively investing in real estate, mostly as limited partner in the beginning. Then eventually bought my own multifamily units in 2019. And today, with our personal properties and syndicated properties and partnership, we have over 1,800 units under management. And we also have other real assets that we do, including oil and gas. We do self-storages, luxury senior living. We also have few offices. And right now, we just pivoted into doing business acquisition. So we're just trying to find ways to pivot since real estate is touch and go at this point. I'm very excited about this webinar because it's something different we also do some venture capital, which is usually like the highest peak of your investment. You need to get all the base done, then you start doing some more asymmetric upside plays. That's what I call them. Yeah.
Awesome.
George.
All right, guys, welcome. I'm Dr. Ozoude. I'm a Houston-based orthopedic surgeon. I'm also a founder of Time Health Capital. It's a real asset investing syndication company. We also focus mainly on multifamily, but have diversified out into mineral rights and agriculture land. I also have some early experience investing into venture capital as well, into a tech startup. I started this company 3 years ago to get other physicians into this space. I feel like it's space that we don't know a lot about. We know plenty about the clinical side of medicine. There's way more we can be doing on the investing side, and it's very needed at this time where there's a lot of just stress and friction inside the clinical side of medicine. Started this company to help other physicians get into good, high quality deals with really reputable operators. And I've gone on to invest in over 800 doors, about 75 million in assets under management. Raised about 3 million through myself, friends and family, and other colleagues. Very interested, Bio said, into pivoting into businesses, and that can be small acquisitions and it can be venture capital as well. And so I'm very curious about our conversations that we're going to have tonight with our guest, Steven Flutie-Davis of PitchSync. He's the founder, and we'll be chatting with him tonight. He's a medtech innovation platform and community built by and for the ecosystem. He's connecting startups, consultants, and physician leaders to bring new ideas to life faster. He has over a decade in medtech, including leading a $56 million global portfolio at a Fortune 100 company. Steven launched PitchSync to break down traditional barriers in early stage development, and the platform has grown organically into a trusted hub for collaboration, offering access to elite talent, expert guidance, and a thriving network that empowers the next generation of healthcare innovation. And so that was high level intro. Steven, definitely want you to go in more, and we're going to have you take the platform here and give us a presentation, and then we'll have Q&A afterwards.
Excellent. Thanks so much. I'm excited to be here. So like you said, I've been in medical device now for probably about 15 years total. I was a silly little sales rep down in South Florida with Stryker Sports Medicine and the distributor of. Love that role, but you're really siloed in that area and you don't really understand, as some of the people on this call might see, like you don't understand the inefficiencies of that industry. And then moved over to do product development and marketing at Stryker, managing the knee portfolio globally, like you said. And that's really what brought us to this point. And the name PitchSync, it's thrown a few people, but for us in the surgical world, the scrub sync really is like that ecosystem, the hub, if you will, of getting to know people, fun conversations. It's really just where our reps would always be like, which go stock at the scrub sync. So what we wanted to do was become the hub almost of the innovation ecosystem. And that's where the name PitchSync comes from. So we're pretty excited for it.
Is that our version of the water cooler?
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what it'll be. I'll do a little presentation, walk you guys through the demo. Please interrupt if you guys like during it, but it'll be about 30-minute presentation. And then love just to get everyone's feedback really of what their thoughts are on not only our model, but just the problem, which is the physician gap in the investment marketplace, really, in medical innovation. So I'll go ahead and share my screen from here.
Yep.
So again, a little background on myself. I was the device rep for a long time, moved over into that marketing role, then moved over back into a sales role working in Vail, Colorado, and realized just how inefficient the whole innovation side of it for physicians really was. I was working with one of the world's leading hip arthroscopists, and he's trying to get custom made instruments, and he's even having a problem with it. And that kind of brought me to the point where I really want to try to find a way to fix this, try to find a way to connect the proper individuals who want to develop products with the proper people that actually develop products. And so that's what we set out to do. If you're in the rep world, or sometimes as a surgeon, you don't know where to find engineers, regulatory professionals. A lot of times I didn't even know that there was this entire team behind all the products that were being created. And you would yell to your marketing teams, why can't you make this claim? And why can't you do that? And it was frustrating. So what we wanted to try to do is find a way to fix a lot of that. And we wanted to do so by not creating another venture studio or similar model that was already out there. We wanted to find a way to really enhance the industry and help absolutely everyone, and making more of a democratized access to resources and taking a platform first approach, like I said, that empowers everybody in a scalable, cost effective, and efficient way. And by platform first, let's take models that are out there and let's put tech behind it, enable it, and make it easier for people to connect. And so really this is a network effect company. But before we dive into network effect companies, I kind of want to bring you back to one of the earliest network effect companies, and something that we studied quite a bit when we were getting ready to develop this. And that's looking back at the 1950s and in Manhattan, and Diners Club, one of the first credit cards that were ever created. And you also think the telephone is one of the early network effect products as well. You can't have one person using a telephone. It doesn't work from there. So you need to find a way to build efficiency. It wasn't really just a payment tool. Like I said, it was an early network effect company. Restaurants paid a small fee, but in return, they gain access to new customers and more frequent visits. So that's an awesome opportunity for them to scale their businesses. And it was a model that picked up a lot of steam quickly because it solved the pain on both sides. And so here we go. The problem that we're trying to solve here is twofold. The first problem is really the physician gap in the medical innovation process and the investment process. And most innovation teams, they treat physicians as an afterthought. Now, they are the end users of the products. However, they should not be brought in at the end. Our thoughts that they should be brought in early as possible. And by result of bringing them in at the end, we've seen about 60 to 70% of these products really fail due to misalignment with the clinical practices or the user needs. I can remember back to my rep days as a distributor, someone sent a product in, you're like, man, nobody talked to a doctor about this. I'm curious if either of you two have ever seen that, because you get in, there's just a simple ergonomic issue that no one will use it for that reason alone. The concept might make sense, but if you would have consulted with a physician earlier, it might have been a more successful product. And then what we also realized was we want to dive a little bit deeper, not just on the innovation side, but on the investment side, and see how many physicians are truly included in the investment process. And the research we found and the data was just truly sad. It's about, at most, 20% of investment firms were utilizing physicians in some capacity of the due diligence process, not as investors, but in the due diligence process. And this isn't a problem that we're just trying to create or trying to say, hey, we found a bunch of data behind this. This is something that is, other people are out here waving their arms. There's funds like FiCap, Scrub Capital. You both have created funds that have set out to fix this exact issue. Early stage venture needs clinician insight at the earliest stages. And so that's what we want to do. So if I could take a few slides, a few quotes from Scrub Capital's website, their their slogan is investing with clinician precision. They believe that the best healthcare solutions arise from those who deeply understand the world challenges. And we couldn't agree more. And so the second problem we're trying to solve is that talent infrastructure bottleneck. In the current state, if you're trying to create a company, you have the founder, which typically is an engineer or someone of that capacity, or a rep or a physician. And it's sometimes hard if you don't have that natural network to find the next area of expertise that you need to do. And so we believe the pain shouldn't really be at the startup level. It's more of a structural problem, and it's at the venture level. These venture firms can't staff every portfolio company with operating teams, and we don't really believe that they should. But at that same time, that company you invested in needs a regulatory expert for 30 days or a go-to-market strategist or a fractional chief medical officer. The options at this point are pretty slow and informal or really dependent on your personal networks. And most platforms or most venture platforms aren't equipped to deliver on-demand operational talent or clinical expertise really when it matters most. And if you're also not like an incubator or an accelerator, you're really relying on ad hoc introductions, you're burning social capital, or worse, you're watching your startup flounder while they're trying to solve the problems of finding the proper talent at the right time and vetting that talent. And so that's what we've created here with PitchSync Venture Toolbox. It gives early stage teams access to elite talents of vetted consultants from regulatory marketing. You can see all on the side, all the supply side that we have here, really everything needed to create that napkin sketch that may be around the scrub sink all the way through commercialization. And we wanted to do so that made sense for everybody. Full-time hires sometimes most of the time don't make sense for startups. So we wanted to make this fractional talent that can drop in really at any stage when they need it without diluting the company as well. And then the physician layer is really it's a growing network of clinical consultants. And we've partnered with some of the most prestigious institutions in the world. We're still in contract phases with some of them, so we can't say them, but I'll just go ahead and say the largest orthopedic institute in the world, Stanford Biodesign, University of Michigan, or some of the other ones, but some very exciting organizations that share the level of concern that we do of wanting to try to find a way to fix this. A lot of them can come on board and provide due diligence for investment firms. They can stress test concepts. They can help design concepts if you have something internal. But I think the most important, especially in the investment world, if we can try to get that 60% down to 40, 30%, one of the most exciting things these physicians can do would be to kill ideas faster than actually deploying capital into a bad decision. So I'm going to move through just a little product demonstration, make sure this is off, and I'll walk you through this. And please stop at any time if you want. So this is the dashboard of what it looks like in its current state. This is the client side of the dashboard. This is what you would look for if you have projects open. If there were active projects, you'd see those underneath here. But these are the two different projects you have available to. There's a chat component, which you can search and filter based off of the projects that you're working on. Payment settings are all done via Stripe. So we've built a global escrow payment system that is safe and secure for everybody. Sorry, I just had the mute off. So when you click on a project, you'll see candidates that you'd be invited to. On this one, there's no one. You can see the project details on here, project budget, what type of payment, is it a retainer or not, the description, the specialties we're looking to, sports medicine, knee, kind of things from there. And then to post a new project, we'll just walk through this here. There we go. So if you're on the top three, the research ideation, design development, or scaling the team, those are on-demand operators. Think regulatory, engineering, legal, sales, all that fun stuff. The physician advisor obviously is our physician network. I believe on this one, we do the physician advisor portion of it. Here, let me speed this up a little bit. Yeah, physician advisor. And the next button underneath here is when you want the project to start. So we've got timeframes in there to try to reduce some of the friction. And then the next area would be what your project details. What is the project going to be called? What type of physician advisor are you looking for? Someone to give investment advice, fractional medical officer, startup advisor, or any other role. I'll move through to the next area. And then this would be the description. Put all relevant information in here. What the project is. Say I think this one we did. Here you go. An investment memo. We want to be able to support some investment memo of some products that we're getting ready to do. Say it's, I don't know, a new meniscal implant coming to market. We want to be able to do analytics and advice. Give me a 10-page investment memo on there. So you put the description in, you'd be able to attach any additional files. This is something we're really excited about. On the bottom, you'll see the NDA. We promote an NDA with the first meeting. Reason being, first meeting is actually of substance. You're not going back tiptoeing around that. I have this concept. I think I want you to go talk about it. Can we put an NDA in place? And then you set another meeting up from there. So we provide an NDA where you can actually, the first meeting is with substance. If you don't want to use, there you go. If you don't want to use it, then you can upload your own as well, as you can see here. And then now, sorry, I'm just going to move through because sometimes it's buggy here. So this would be the specialties that we're looking for. And I'll press play again. We have physicians from orthopedics, plastics, cardiologists, you name it. We've got about 80 plus at this point. And the goal for us is we don't want the largest network. The reason being, we want the physicians that are joining us to actually get projects out of this. There are other platforms that have attempted to do something similar, a different mission, but they've just overloaded their platform. And the physicians we've talked to from there in 2.5 years have not received a single project. And so we said the opposite: smaller, really hyper focused and energized and engaged network of individuals, I'm gonna pause this here, that actually share our mission and want to make this work. And our whole platform has grown just via word of mouth. We haven't spent a dollar on marketing. It has been all connecting with the right people joining, helping us grow from there. We love the network that we built, and we're going to continue to work that way as well. And we'll scale and bring more on when our consultants and our physicians are waving that white flag saying, hey, there's just too many projects going on for us right now. Please bring more on board. So when it comes down to the budgeting and the payment types, we have 3 different models for the physicians. You can either do a retainer or a fractional model, so a monthly model where you're paying, you're getting paid $3,000 a month. There's a fixed price project. In order for that fixed price project to actually initiate, there's a 25% deposit that is pushed into escrow. Once that's put in escrow, then the project can initiate. Or if there's an equity offer, we said navigate, execute that, negotiate that on your own, but we wanted visualization and clarity if that is what's going to happen. I think too many times we've all gone into a meeting where we didn't realize this was an equity only opportunity. So try to provide some clarity through that. And then on the estimated amounts, we've put a budget range in there, really allowing you to go back and forth. We know there's going to be some negotiations. So you'll see between 5,000 to 7,000, 300 to 500, and so on. And then the budget, that's on the time frame of the projects. And so from there, I'll go ahead and click this and we can watch it or speed it up. Whoops, almost there, guys. So from there, we'll connect you. This is the demo version, but you can see the different individuals that we would have. So we're now looking for an orthopedic surgeon on this one. We can click on the profile. The profile will be pretty much the CV condensed, and we typically have a video introduction of everybody. On the demo, we do not. But then your CV is also included, so you can click on that. The search capabilities of our platform take into your primary skill sets, your secondary skill sets, what is written in your bio, and even goes into your CV to make sure that we're connecting the right client with the right individual consultant or physician for the projects. Speed this up a little bit. We would invite that physician to this project. We'll fast forward and say that we are ready to hire Dr. Michael Jordan. There's the button right here on this. Click hire, you'd send the first invoice off, and the project has initiated. Those funds will be sitting into the escrow account. And it is easy as that on here. From, again, we're pretty new, but we've had some pretty good wins and some pretty good feedback, repeat customers. We're definitely growing. This model is Venture Toolbox model that we have has been live now for just about a week. And we've had about 3 to 4 different clients that have now come to us and will be onboarding. The fun part is we'll be onboarding about 20 different companies within the next 2 weeks because of this model, allowing those portfolio companies that those investors have invested in to have access to this network has been a really fun opportunity and a marketing opportunity for some of these funds. And so I'll fast forward to this. And so that's really it, everyone. It's been a really fun company to build. And again, like if we look back on network effect companies, those diner clubs, they proved when you create a system that benefits both sides, both the clients and a scalable opportunity, cost effective, and the consultants, the market will adopt to it in time, and just growth is really inevitable. And so that's what we're trying to do, is really unlock some efficiencies and build infrastructure that allows physicians to get more involved in the industry, to make smarter investment decisions, to allow startups to have access to tools that they sometimes would get locked out of. So we're pretty excited for it. And if anyone has questions and they want to get involved, if you want to take your phones out now, as a physician, if you want to join the network, that green QR code. If you have general questions, that blue one. But also, I'm sure we'll send a follow-up with email on here as well. So open up to any questions at this point.
Thank you, Steven. While we monitor the chat and wait for questions to come in, let me quickly check in.
Yeah. I'll stop sharing or keep it up or.
Yeah.
I actually have one question in the meantime. So I know we'll talk about Angel MD and something other pitch like that. So do you guys run it? How do you guys do it in terms of, do you also have board of directors? like particular people that look at, yeah, do you guys look at the deal to say, okay, this one's a good idea, bad idea?
Yeah, so that's another portfolio company that we're creating that will be coming through. We don't do the national investments. What that platform will be really is connecting startups or tech transfer programs or physicians who are looking to raise capital with investors. So we are very hands off on that entire process. We do have a board for ourselves that have brought us most of the investment we've taken on. Most of it actually has been physician investment to this point.
Okay, so you're not on the deciding like Shark Tank,
No,
the Shark Tank side. So
yeah,
you're more on the support,
yeah,
basically just supporting. Okay,
yeah. Ours is we sell as a subscription to investment firms. Very cost effective. It is cheaper to actually buy this platform than it is to go sponsor a booth at really anybody's conference. Reason being, we wanted people to have access to it, and we're a pretty high margin company. So we sell directly to those investment firms. Those investment firms utilize the physicians that are in the network, so they can utilize them as their own Shark Tank, really. But that's the goal, is to be able to get your own physician Shark Tank in your investment in your VC, your private equity group, or angel network. It's sad how few physicians actually are involved in this process. I was at a conference. It was a pretty small conference in California about a month and a half ago, and there was a panel of 10 different angel network groups. And all of them kept saying, as an early stage company, you need physician feedback. We need testimonials, things like that. And I asked the question, raised my hand, asked the question, how many of you guys or girls actually utilize physicians in your due diligence process? And one raised their hand and said, we have a physician LP that we sometimes ask if if it's not in their specialty, we just don't invest. And that's frustrating. Shouldn't be that way. You should be able to have access to individuals who can help you do proper decisions and make a good investment decision.
true.
We got a hand up. Ryan Murphy.
Yeah, Steven, I did have a question for you. I know you said you do a little bit of venture capital investing there with PitchSync. Are you guys familiar with investing in the post-money safe rounds, or are you guys limited to different, or I guess what's your
Yeah,
range, I
we
guess?
don't invest at PitchSync. We've gotten investment ourselves. We have run actually post money safe. But yeah, no, we don't invest at PitchSync. We eventually want to move into that world. We want to be able to have, and we're building out platforms that give more visualization and visibility into companies that are raising money and trying to connect them with investors. So building a really self-feeding ecosystem where someone can come to us and find proper funding, connect with startups, things like that, tech transfer programs that have some pretty dusty IP. Can we help them alleviate that? And that's kind of the mission of that other one. But no, we don't do investments at this point.
Okay.
But I think safe investing is great. I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah, we have a technology portion, which I absolutely love the presentation. I like your structure, the way it's set up is how our platform is on the real estate side of being able to connect different people together at the
Yeah.
right time. And there's a lot of synergy in the format, I guess is maybe the right words to say.
Yeah.
Um, so that was very nice to see that this space is trying to adopt something that's very similar to what I've been working on for the past 6 months with my board and everything. It's nice to see that somebody else has that same direction and that it's going that way. But it was good.
No, it's crazy. There's maybe 4% of total market penetration when it comes to marketplaces for B2B, but it's truly one of the most scalable ways out there. Our thoughts are if we can run high margin, take a very low percentage for a transaction rate for consultants, they look at it as a business development expense rather than a consultant agency that takes sometimes 30 or 40%. Ours is closer to single digits. Then if we build something, we can truly empower this industry to make much smarter decisions and just find a way to scale much faster. So I love that you're taking that model as well. It's been fun to research it. I definitely highly recommend, if you've not read this book, The Cold Start Problem. It's written by Andrew Chen, who is in charge of Uber's North American growth. So it was really fun to see how challenging marketplaces are to scale, but just lessons learned from, I don't know, Dropbox, Google, all these other ones is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I literally watched the Uber movie not even 2 days ago. That one was, I can't remember what the name, it was like Pumped or something. Yeah, it was pretty good. But yeah, so with connecting the doctors to the technology, do you guys have I guess in your model, it sounds like everybody's testing the tech on their own, or like how is that transaction between the invention to the doctor to like them either testing it out or, how's that look?
Yeah. So this is really focused on pre-commercial. So they're
Okay.
not getting products in hand at this point. A lot of it is still theory. A lot of it is still pre-functioning prototype. And so a lot of it is just web based of, hey, make a presentation, present it to us. Okay, we'll do the due diligence. We'll go and find the proper comparables in the market and give our feedback before it's even in that functioning prototype. And then we try to support that investment with the on-demand operators and doing more fractional based. Again, let's work remotely. You've got an engineering team. Okay, your engineering team's worked on it. Now we need to get regulatory brought in. Regulatory most of the time doesn't need to be there full on site. So it's been pretty easy for that, but it's been mostly all pre-commercial products.
Okay. Sorry, I'll let somebody else talk now.
No, go for it. Happy to help.
Those are great questions. I have a question about kind of the scope. We were talking earlier about how it's not quite as broad as like an Angel MD was because they're across a whole bunch of different
Yeah.
sectors within.
Try to bring up Angel MD.
So what about, it sounds like you guys focus specifically more on devices. Can you talk more about that? Like why
Yeah.
just devices, or any particular angle? Or you guys grow into other spaces? Is it necessary?
Yeah, medical technology, medical devices, broad range from there. That is what we focus on. Digital health tech, we
Broad
haven't
enough.
done what? Well, sorry, I didn't hear you on that one. What was that?
Oh, I was just saying that I cut out. Sorry, I was saying
Oh.
it's probably broad enough, right?
It's broad enough. Yeah,
Yep.
it's broad enough. And we look at, I mean, there's 20 billion invested into that segment of the industry every single year on average. And so there's a huge amount of opportunity that's in there. There's at least 3,400 startups that try to come through, or that have come through in the last 2 years in that space. So the opportunity is pretty big. Healthcare is just something that we've moved away from. And to be honest, it really came out of medical device and technology got looped under life science. And a lot of us just got really annoyed in that early stage when we were developing this. And a lot of our consultants came up with their pricing structures. So we really made a stand to try to be more on the device and technology side. So digital health tech, healthcare, drug delivery, we dabble in a little bit, but that's just not really our specialty. The thing is, we can expand and scale into that. Again, scalable efficiencies by just bringing the proper people onto the platform to do. The other thing, when you get into the pharmaceutical side, the cycles to development are much longer. And so really you have those full-time teams, 50 million in the bank from day one type thing. And so it just doesn't really fit kind of the mold that we have. Definitely not somewhere we're looking to go anytime soon. I think before we would do that, we would move more into the investment sides and some other avenues that we've got on the horizon that we want to get into. From a physician side, it can be, again, cardio, neuro. I have a few people doing plastic devices, consumer goods for like facials. There's some pretty fun stuff that's being developed on the platform, all the way to braces and then cervical collar. There's one emergency room physician that's building something for patients that come in with spinal cord issues. There's a wide variety on here already.
Makes sense.
Yeah, Angel D, I think I'm still sharing, by the way. Yeah, it's, again, they're just shut down out of nowhere. Oh, sad. Stop sharing at this point. So,
All right. Any other questions from our audience? Bio, you had some experience on the board for Angel MD. You're on mute. And just curious kind of what your experience was like with that. Obviously, we're talking physicians getting in and weighing in and giving our opinions.
I really like that because they will send the pitch, like a pitch deck, and then they will send it to the boards. You have to decide if you want to be involved, if you want to, you have to dedicate some of your time to review it. And the stage is first of all to review it to see whether it's actually reasonable at all. There'll be some deals that you'd be like, why am I attaching something to a stethoscope? Or something like that. That the idea will, from the start, get-go, that for me as a pulmonologist, might be something that I'm like, I'm probably not going to use it. So I give them a good feedback there. They can try to change it or just withdraw it.
Yeah.
But if it looks good, most people want it and likes it, then there are people that are good with the evaluation and at least deep dive into their numbers and then if they're happy with it, then they'll pitch it, talk to investors.
Yeah.
And you yourself can invest too as a physician if you want to invest. But the good thing is many of them will offer some stock. That's one I like personally. They offer you if you want to be on their board or review something with them or help them out with their company, they will give you some shares.
Yeah.
For what is what?
Yeah.
Because right now they're very early stage. You don't know, most of them, you're never going to see them. But so, yeah, I think it's good. It goes through the whole process. Maybe it's difficult to monetize. I don't know why they closed down.
Yeah. I'm curious of what the fee structures were. I'm on their website. Just never saw anything about the fee structure, especially if it was the syndication like you were talking about before. I don't know. The concept is beautiful, and we're trying to take it and run with it a little bit, get physicians involved and help them early. So
we need it. We need it absolutely, because sometimes it will be like if it's something in pulmonary, I want to see it.
Yeah.
Personally, to see what it is. Is it something I'm going to use? Or I think it's at least reasonable.
Yeah.
And I'm not the only pulmonary person. There's 30 people that,
Yeah.
so it's about numbers. So if you have like huge numbers and they all take a vote and review it, I think it will be successful in terms of achieving what's supposed to achieve. Now, with any company, it's almost always money. If you cannot find a way to monetize it or sustain your operations, that would be the most common reason. Of course, lose interest, but somebody can always take it over, even if someone doesn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah, we'd love to have you on our platform as an advisor to some of these companies coming through when that's ready. So we'll send the link. We haven't onboarded the physicians yet. That's happening next week. So everyone's just been sitting in our holding period on the physician side as we've built out just a little bit better search functionality on the physician side. Want to make sure that we're really taking in the descriptions and the keywords and the descriptions really well, but it's close to there. But it would love to have you on there if it's something that you're interested in.
I like to know what's going on, especially in my field, for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm sure Judge Autos actually always have a lot more going on than pulmonary, really. And critical care.
A lot of devices in ortho, man.
Yeah, you guys always come up with something. So,
Question about intellectual property. I used to work for an employer where there was language in our contracts regarding what we share as far as our work outside of like actual clinical work.
Yeah.
And this might not be directly what PitchSync deals with, but maybe offshoot, like you said, like you can actually get involved in innovating and inventing some of these devices. But even on just the consultant side, is there any kind of barrier or friction for employed docs? Because the majority of docs now are employed. That's about 75% of the country are employed docs. So any friction or potential issues with that?
I actually did a podcast not too long ago with a doctor who went into an innovation program first and then became an emergency room physician. And so what he said was he was getting ready to develop this product he was creating. He put it in his contract ahead of time. No one has had an issue, sorry, so far with the consulting side. They have to check with their employers, but at this point, no one's really had an issue with it. So I don't have a fun answer for your question other than that.
Which is probably a good thing then.
If you're consulting, a lot of protection usually for that. But if you are developing, if you're the one actually developing a new auto product, you definitely have to make sure you walk through the lawyers very well. Otherwise, it might be end up being the property of that hospital.
Yeah. And so that's why we've tried to figure out how to help with some of these innovation programs that are at these hospitals that are so inefficient. They're pretty bad. There's so many studies that, especially most of them are just truly tech transfer programs. And it's like more than 70% of the technology created there never sees light of day. It just sits there and collects dust. So it's pretty frustrating. Yeah. Ryan, let's see. You got another question?
Yeah, just to piggyback off the consulting conversation there. So I do some consulting with a family office that does a lot of industrial property funding as well. So that was one of the big questions I had like in my agreement because I do other real estate projects and investments and things, and that they have proprietary data like how they pick their properties and things like that. And that was a huge topic of discussion was like, hey, this information is proprietary to how we invest into certain structures like that. So that's probably similar. I've not personally developed a product for a medical device or anything like that, but I found that's anytime I'm going into those consulting agreements, just identifying like either that non-compete clause or making sure you mitigate that out the front,
Yeah.
like that one doctor did, seems to be the best solution
Yeah.
to fixing any future problems. Is like when I do my business purchases, I always look at, hey, what's my exit strategies on the backside? And I think you almost have to treat consulting agreements as, hey, in the future, what potentially could be some of my exit strategies, or what could be some of these things that come up as I'm consulting on products or engaging with those types of
Yeah.
companies. What could be a potential exit for me out of this relationship with that company? And I think the more you can mitigate on the front side, the more promising it is for you. Less legal problems on those things go.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm curious at this point, what we've really focused on is providing the tool and the platform that really hasn't been able to be there till now, realistically, in the mission we're trying to do. But the more that we can provide help to the physicians that actually want to be able to come on board, especially if you're hospital employed, the military, we've got a few military doctors that just joined as well. I'm curious from the doctors on the call, what do you think is something that we can provide not only on that, but also trying to figure out how to properly price your consultancy rate, making sure that you know how to actually say, this is an investment memo, it's $3,500, it's $10,000. What are some tools that you, and I know putting some people on the spot here, but what are some of the tools that you guys might be able to think of that we can look into continuously building out? Continued education is huge to this process, but it's also trying to make sure that we can provide something where blanket agreement, hey, this is what we're doing, no IP. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
To that point, I have to look it up, but there's someone on LinkedIn that has a pricing tool for physicians. And I know we shared it on one of our physician chats. I'll try to look it up while others chime in, but that's one aspect. Because you're right. We don't even know how much like our clinical stuff costs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's our main thing, right? How do we know how to price our services as a consultant? I bet you the majority of physicians have no clue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll look up that pricing tool. I should be able to find it. But to that point, there's probably some AI solutions too. You may be able to even get on a Grok or get on
Yeah.
Chat GPT and say, "Hey, this is my specialty. What's the going rate in my locale,
Yeah.
my city, my state for consultant work?" And
Yeah.
give you an accurate answer.
Yeah. For non-clinical consultant work and the investment process, my CV is this.
Exactly.
So I think it'd be fun if we can build out some type of when the CV is loaded, boom, here's the average rate based off of what you've done in your practice, what you've done in your career, education, training, all that fun stuff. That would be really fun to be able to do something like that.
I think, yeah, I think we shared it well. Yeah, I want to actually have it again.
I think
Does
Deshant
it?
just shared it because Deshant's also a physician
Oh,
consultant.
okay. Perfect. Well,
Yeah.
good rough starts. Okay. I click
Yeah.
it.
We can back in on this one, and this is a great calculator. Back in on it and see what we can try to figure out on our side. But we've got some pretty good developers, I think, that can try to come up with something as we continue the conversation. It's like building orchestra of this, like decision by orchestra, making sure that we're taking everyone's thoughts into consideration. Because that's how we built this whole thing. It hasn't been just us; it's the doctors involved, and making sure you guys have your voice in something like this. Personal brand network is an interesting one. I'm on here. How many followers do you have? That's something I never even considered. So that's pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah, this is fun. Thanks. Thank you for putting this in here. Whoever did that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
We got a hand up for Ryan.
Yeah, it's pretty much just because there's no database for leases. Like when you rent out a commercial property, you don't know what the lease rates are. So when I'm evaluating properties, I look at just in comparison, like the physicians, they're like, we have to really, there's so many variables in every single space. Like it's really hard to get an exact number. Like AI does a okay job at it, but most of the time, like I said, there's a lot of gaps. I don't know if there's whoever figures out what that perfect calculator is going to be for figuring out what either you should pay for the
Yeah.
consultant or pay for your lease space. That's going to be a very valuable tool, I think, to be able to add to that too as well.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to continue to collect data through this process to really try to take what they've built out here as a good tool and continue to refine it and see what can be done. I think that'll be a very powerful educational tool that can be put in place. We'll try to share if there's something that you can also take and utilize on the lease side, if there's something opportunity there.
Getting close on one of them. So
Good to know.
Okay.
Physician salary reports. Yeah.
Wow.
Any other questions, guys? Feel free to raise your hand or leave it in the chat. I do want to echo what you and Ryan were talking. I love how simple it is, just the matchmaking platform, right? You just bring people together, and the more simple it is, I think the more chance at success. Same thing in orthopedics.
Yeah.
Solve problems and keep it as simple as possible. And yeah, it's just a matter of getting the word out. On the physician side, I think it's a matter of awareness. We probably graduate and just think clinical, like how do I solve the problem in front of me with patient who's presenting with symptoms? But
Yeah.
we don't think about how the other ways we can leverage our MD. And this is one really great way to leverage it. So
especially as reimbursement rates, those been cut over and private equity is coming in and buying out so many private practices. And so we've got to find ways to continue to help physicians monetize themselves. And by doing that, then I think it's our little way, and this might be a bit altruistic, but it's our little way altogether of making healthcare a little bit better. Maybe you don't have to see as many patients. You could spend more time with one patient because you're offsetting the cost elsewhere, but then you're also making influential decisions that are making products better, that are coming to market, that are addressing patients' needs. So
right.
might be an altruistic view, but that's something we're going to die. We're going to try to get there as much as possible.
And we stand on that hill too. We both created companies to try to get physicians to invest and get alternate streams of income for that same reason.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Get back with your autonomy and time. Yeah.
So true. Thank you so much for letting me be part of this. I've really enjoyed it. The conversations are always fun. I invite everyone. We have a event on Tuesday, which is us just presenting. It's the same thing again. The last time we did it, it ran an hour, sorry, ran 25 minutes over because the physicians just stayed on continuing to talk about the excitement for there being a vehicle to be able to get involved. And that was the most fun thing that we could do, is we just sat back and watched this happen. So I definitely invite everyone to join. It is at 3:00 Mountain. I'm Denver, so 5:00 East Coast time and 4:00 Central. So I'll send you guys the link to it as well.
That'll be great. Share it.
Yeah, actually, while I'm here, let me just go ahead and put it in the chat.
Too,
Yep. But it's been fun to just see this continuously or organically grow.
Yep.
So,
Nice.
all right, it is in the chat now, and it's on LinkedIn as well for anyone.
I'll definitely be joining, checking it out. So
Appreciate it.
cool. Thank you again, Steven, and thank you everyone for joining us. This has been a great conversation and discussion and presentation as well. We want to thank everybody again. We're ahead of time, which doesn't typically happen, but hey, any time is a good time to get other stuff done. So we're gonna give everyone that extra 5 minutes today. And again, thank you, Steven. And
yeah, thank you everyone. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Steven. Thanks everyone for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks,
everyone.
guys.